Hello there, it's Monday, and as I said last week, we are not down at the shed working today. I've been busy doing things, getting ready for our trip this coming Thursday. So I did want to make a quick little video though to show you something that just came in from China, and a little experiment I want to do. So let me show you what I got. Okay, these are little circuit boards that I have designed that will terminate the wires coming from the LEDs on the pop bumpers. They are a simple single-sided board. Let me get the glare off of that for you. So it's a simple single-sided board, and it has about 16 little pads on it. There's absolutely nothing on the other side. All this will do is it'll bring 5 volts ground and an input signal, run it through potentially four sets of pop bumpers, and then out on the end, continuing on down the string. I have a couple of shorting pads on here, so if I only want to have 2 pop bumpers, I can use the first 2 rows of connectors, and then I can short out the last 2 and not use them, and then the output will just keep on going out there. But with these boards, I will use 1 board per pool table to terminate the pop bumpers. And so I didn't have a solder mask made that would do up the whole board, because I don't want to make that many, and I don't know if I'm going to be doing 2, 3, or 4 pop bumpers, so I really need to custom make these one at a time. And because of that, I didn't make a solder mask. But I've been thinking about an experiment I want to try to see if it would work, and that is taking some of this heat seal plastic. I needed a thick plastic. I have this, so I'm going to try this. It comes in pieces about that big. I've cut it in half and put it together, so this is basically 4 layers of plastic, and I'm going to run it through my laminator and hopefully melt it all together. I'm not exactly sure it's going to stick the way I've put this plastic together, but hopefully it will. And then if it does, then I'm going to lay that over this. I am going to take a magic marker. I am going to mark where all the connectors need to be. And then I'm simply going to take a punch and I'm going to punch holes in it to let the solder paste flow through, and I'm going to just mask off 1 board. It may work, it may not. I mean, it's not that hard to just dab a little bit of solder paste on each of these connectors, and it would probably take a lot less time than this experiment. But if this works, then I can just save it with this, and each time I need one, I can just quickly zap a little solder paste across it, and I'm done. I'm not going to show you the laminating because it's back in a dark corner, and I don't think it would show up, but I'll bring you back as soon as I get this laminated. Okay, out of the laminator, it seems to have worked just fine. I've got a fairly thick piece of plastic here. Now I'm doing everything handheld here again tonight, so I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to mark the little marks on it with this, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, as you can see, I have marked the red dots that line up with those. The glare is going to keep you from seeing it, but I'm going to take my punch now and see if I can punch through that. I'll be right back. Okay, I have the holes punched. They're a little bigger than I wanted, and it might put down just a little more solder paste than I actually need for these little holes. But I'm going to give it a try anyway. I could make the mask thinner to compensate for that. I know that the solder will all puddle up onto the connectors even if it overlaps a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and tape this thing up, and I'll bring you back, show you that before I put the paste down. Okay, I have the card taped down to the table with my homemade solder mask template on top of it and a little solder paste squeezed on. Unfortunately, because I'm hand holding this, I can't film it while I work it, but I'll spread it out and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I spread it out. It seems to have made a pretty even coverage, so I'm going to pull the thing off, see what it looks like. Okay, I pulled the stencil off, and some of the dots are a little off center, but most of the solder is on the pad, so I think it'll still flow just fine. I'm going to go ahead and get out my little vacuum placement tool and some connectors and stick them on here and see what that looks like. And in less than 5 minutes, I got my little vacuum pump out, set up the little connectors, and sucked up 16 of them and stuck them down on the board, and they all seem to be adhering well. So I will get out our little toaster oven and reflow this real quickly and show you what it looks like. Okay, my toaster oven is set up and on, and the board is sitting in here. It's really dark though, and I really can't hold a light and phone and everything at the same time. So I'm just going to reflow this and then I'll show you what it looks like. And here's the final board. It worked fairly good. There is definitely more solder on those connections than I would like, but they will work fine. There were a couple of connectors. You can see how this connector turned a little bit. This connector and one more right down in there, second one from the back, rotated a full 90 degrees as they were floating down. But on this particular board, that is not critical. So I'll be able to use this board just as it is, and it's not going to make any difference at all how these wires are laid on here. So so that's great. I think I will remake this stencil, only too thick, or I will try and find a smaller punch. I don't know. We've got several. I think this is the smallest one, but I might have a smaller one. So if I had a smaller punch, that would work better. So anyway, making your own solder templates with a hole punch and a magic marker. Go figure. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.